The full, true story of Sir Francis Drake, the legendary Elizabethan seafarer, privateer, and admiral. Sir Francis Drake, the Dragon of the Seas, lived c. 1540, 28th of January, 1596. Nationality English. Title: Vice Admiral, privateer, navigator, slaver, mayor, and the first Englishman to circumnavigate the globe. Sir Francis Drake's life is a story of ambition, immense courage, ruthless privateering, and unwavering patriotism. To the English, he was a heroic national icon. To the Spanish, he was a notorious pirate known as El Drake, the Dragon. His actions on the world's oceans were instrumental in transforming England from a second-rate naval power into a formidable empire, and defining the epic conflict with Spain. Francis Drake was born around 1540 in Tavistock, Devon, England, the eldest of 12 sons. His family's modest life was upended during the Protestant Prayer Book Rebellion of 1549, forcing them to flee to Kent. Drake's connection to the sea began early. He was apprenticed to the master of a small coastal trading vessel. The old captain, having no heirs, reportedly willed the boat to the young Drake upon his death. By his early 20s, he was a skilled sailor and navigator, joining his distant cousin Sir John Hawkins on England's first slave trading expeditions. These voyages were brutal and formative. They involved sailing to West Africa, capturing or trading for human cargo, transporting them across the Atlantic under horrific conditions to Spanish colonies in the New World, and illegally selling them, as Spain held a monopoly on New World trade. It was during one such expedition in 1568 that Drake's deep personal hatred for Spain was born. The betrayal at San Juan de Ulua, 1568, Hawkins's fleet, including Drake's ship, was badly damaged by a storm and sought refuge in the Mexican port of San Juan de Ulua. A large Spanish fleet also arrived. Despite a truce, the Spanish launched a surprise attack. Only 2 English ships escaped, Hawkins's and Drake's. The event was etched in Drake's memory as Spanish treachery. From that day forward, he considered himself in a state of private war against King Philip II of Spain and the entire Spanish Empire. The privateer and the circumnavigation, 1577-1580. With the tacit approval and secret investment of Queen Elizabeth I, who desired both profit and a means to provoke her rival, Philip II, Drake embarked on his most famous voyage. Its public goal was exploration. Its true purpose was plunder. Drake set sail in December 1577 with 5 ships, including his flagship, the Pelican, later renamed the Golden Hind. The journey was perilous. After navigating the treacherous Strait of Magellan, a massive storm blew his ship alone northward, destroying or scattering the others. This accident revealed a crucial fact. There was open sea south of Tierra del Fuego. It was not part of a southern continent as believed. The body of water is now known as the Drake Passage. Now alone in the Pacific, Drake began one of the most lucrative raids in history. The Spanish coasts of Chile and Peru were undefended, their ships fat and sleepy. Drake took them completely by surprise. He raided the port of Valparaiso. He captured ships laden with silver, gold, and precious jewels. His greatest prize was the Cacafuego, a name loosely translated as Spitfire or something less polite, a Spanish treasure galleon carrying an enormous haul of silver, gold, and porcelain. Knowing he could not return the way he came, Drake sailed north, possibly as far as modern-day Canada, seeking a northern passage back to the Atlantic. Failing this, he turned west, becoming the first Englishman to see California, which he claimed for England as Nova Albion, New England. He repaired his ship and established friendly relations with the local Miwok people. He then crossed the vast Pacific, rounded the Cape of Good Hope, and finally returned to Plymouth in September 1580. He had been gone for almost 3 years. First English circumnavigation. Drake was the first captain to complete an entire circumnavigation. Magellan had died en route. Immense wealth. The treasure he brought back was vast. The Queen's share was greater than the Crown's entire annual income and paid off England's national debt. A knighthood. In 1581, Queen Elizabeth III dined aboard the Golden Hind and knighted Drake, much to the fury of the Spanish ambassador. This was a direct royal endorsement of his piracy and a profound insult to Spain. The war with Spain, 1585-1596. Drake's actions were a primary cause of the Anglo-Spanish War, 1585–1604. King Philip II had had enough, singeing the King of Spain's beard, 1587. As Philip prepared a massive invasion fleet, the Spanish Armada, in the port of Cadiz, Drake was sent to disrupt it. In a stunningly bold raid, he sailed right into the harbor and destroyed dozens of ships and captured others. He famously boasted he had singed the King of Spain's beard. This delayed the Armada's launch by a crucial year. The Spanish Armada, 1588. When the mighty Armada finally approached England in 1588, Drake was appointed Vice Admiral of the English fleet under Lord Howard of Effingham. The English ships designed with Drake's input were lower, faster, and more maneuverable than the tall Spanish galleons. Drake's role was pivotal. At the Battle of Plymouth, he broke the Spanish formation. He masterminded the use of fire ships, blazing old vessels sent into the anchored Armada at Calais, which caused panic and scattered the Spanish fleet into the path of the English guns. He led the English attack at the decisive Battle of Gravelines. The legend that he was playing bowls on Plymouth Hoe when the Armada was sighted and insisted on finishing his game is probably apocryphal, but it perfectly captures the defiant, cool-headed persona he cultivated. Drake's later years were less successful. A failed expedition to Portugal in 1589 disappointed the Queen. His final voyage with his old cousin John Hawkins was another privateering mission to the Spanish Main in 1595. It was a disaster from the start. They failed to capture treasure, and disease, particularly dysentery, ravaged the crews. Drake himself contracted dysentery off the coast of Portobelo, Panama. He died on 28 January 1596 at the age of about 55. Following naval tradition, he was buried at sea in a lead coffin dressed in full armor. Divers and archaeologists continue to search for his remains. Francis Drake's legacy is complex and depends entirely on one's perspective. To England, he was a national hero, a self-made man who embodied the Elizabethan spirit of adventure and defiance. He broke the Spanish monopoly on the New World, brought immense wealth to England, and was a key architect of the most famous naval victory in English history. He paved the way for the British Empire. To Spain, he was a ruthless, heretical pirate who plundered without mercy. The Spanish government placed a massive bounty on his head, worth millions in today's money. To history, he was undoubtedly all these things. He was a brilliant navigator and naval tactician, a charismatic leader and a courageous explorer. He was also a participant in the slave trade and a ruthless privateer for whom violence and plunder were standard tools of trade and war. Sir Francis Drake remains one of history's most compelling figures, a man whose audacity and skill on the sea forever changed the balance of global power and sealed England's destiny as a dominant naval force.